When my sister Amanda called me 2 weeks before Christmas dinner, I thought it was going to be one of our usual chats. Recipes, decorations, maybe a little gossip. Instead, she started the conversation with, "Hey, just wanted to let you know, this year's dinner is adults only. Mom thinks it'll be calmer that way." I froze. "Adults only?" I laughed, thinking she was joking. "You mean no kids? As in my kids?" She hesitated. "Yeah, just you and Brian this time. It's been a stressful year, and Mom wants to keep it simple. No noise, no mess." I could feel my stomach sink. My twins are 5. They're loud sometimes, sure, but they're also the heart of Christmas for me. The thought of leaving them behind while everyone else celebrated felt wrong. Still, I tried to keep it light. "Okay, so no kids at all then?" "Exactly," she said quickly. "It'll just be us adults." Everyone agreed. That last line stuck in my head. Everyone agreed. Because everyone meant the whole family, cousins, siblings, even the in-laws. I told her I'd think about it and hung up. When I told my husband Brian, he frowned. "Adults only? For Christmas? That's weird." We both knew what it really meant. It wasn't about the kids being loud. It was about me. Amanda has always had this subtle way of drawing invisible lines, the kind that make you feel like you're just slightly outside the circle. Ever since we were little, she'd host things, plan things, invite everyone. But somehow, my name would always be last on the list. That night, after tucking the twins into bed, I stared at our Christmas tree, the one they decorated themselves with crooked candy canes and paper snowflakes. The idea of leaving them behind on Christmas Eve broke something in me. The next day I texted Amanda, "Got it. Adults only." "We'll be there," she replied instantly. "Perfect. So glad you understand." I didn't reply. Christmas Eve came faster than I expected. I got dressed in a simple red sweater, jeans, and my grandmother's gold locket, the one Mom gave me after she passed. Brian looked uneasy as we got in the car. "You sure you want to go?" he asked. "Yeah," I said quietly. "I just want to see for myself." When we pulled up to Mom's house, the driveway was already full. I could hear laughter spilling from inside, the smell of roasted turkey drifting through the air. The second I stepped in, I noticed it. Tiny shoes by the door. Pink sparkly ones, Spider-Man sneakers, even a baby carrier propped against the wall. My throat went dry. Amanda appeared from the kitchen, beaming. "You made it! Come in!" Her eyes darted nervously to Brian, then back to me. "We didn't think you'd actually come." "Why wouldn't I?" I said, keeping my tone calm. Then I looked around. My cousin Melissa's kids were sitting by the tree playing with toy cars. Uncle Greg was holding his granddaughter. Even Amanda's own daughter, the one she supposedly left with her sitter, was sitting at the table with a cookie in hand. I turned back to my sister. "Adults only, huh?" Amanda's smile faltered. "Well, plans changed. Everyone kind of decided to bring their kids last minute. You know how it goes." "Everyone," I repeated. "Except me." She laughed awkwardly. "Don't make this weird, okay? Let's just enjoy dinner." Mom came over, arms open for a hug. "Sweetheart, I'm so glad you made it," she said, ignoring the tension. Then she added, "We've already seated the kids' table in the den, but since you didn't bring yours, we put you next to Aunt Carol." That was it. Something inside me went completely still. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just smiled. Brian looked at me like he knew what was coming, but I only said, "Sounds great. Thanks, Mom." I made polite conversation through appetizers. I laughed when people expected me to laugh, but I was taking it all in. The decorations my kids would have loved, the laughter they would have added to the room, the way Amanda avoided my eyes whenever someone mentioned the little ones. At one point, my niece, Amanda's daughter, came up to me with a gingerbread cookie and said, "Auntie, my mommy said your kids don't behave well at dinners. Is that why they couldn't come?" The room went silent. I crouched down, smiled, and said softly, "No, sweetheart. They're perfect. They just weren't invited." Amanda flushed bright red. Mom said sharply, "That's enough." I stood up, still smiling. "You're right, Mom. That's enough." I took my purse, my coat, and turned to Brian. "Let's go." Nobody said a word as we walked out. When we got to the car, Brian asked, "You okay?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "Just done." That night, when we got home, the twins were asleep at Grandma June's house. I walked into their room, kissed their foreheads, and whispered, "Next year, it's just us." Then I sat on the couch, opened my phone, and started typing something I knew would burn the illusion of family harmony to ashes. The house was quiet that night, the kind of quiet that presses against your ears, thick, heavy, and full of words you didn't say. Brian had gone to bed, but I stayed up on the couch, staring at my phone. The photos from the dinner were already online. Amanda had uploaded them less than an hour after we left. Another beautiful family Christmas. So much love and laughter tonight. Every picture told a lie. Smiling kids, twinkling lights, my mother's table glowing with food. But there was something missing in all of them. Us. No trace of me or Brian. No trace of my children. Their faces, their stockings, their gifts. Erased like we didn't exist. I scrolled through the comments. So beautiful. What a perfect family. Wish we were there. Each one stung more than the last. And then I saw it. Amanda's comment under her own post. It was adults only this year. Less chaos, more connection. That's when my hands stopped shaking. That's when the silence inside me broke. I opened my camera roll. There was a picture I'd taken 2 days earlier. My twins in matching pajamas. Icing cookies they'd made for Aunt Amanda's dinner. The cookies were shaped like reindeer, messy and lopsided, covered in too much red frosting. I uploaded it. Caption: My kids spent all week baking for a Christmas dinner they weren't invited to. Turns out adults only doesn't mean no kids, just no hours. Sometimes family doesn't mean what you think it does. Merry Christmas from the ones you didn't count. I didn't tag anyone. I didn't need to. Within minutes, the post started spreading. Comments poured in. Friends, old classmates, co-workers. People I hadn't spoken to in years were suddenly sending messages like, "Good for you for saying it," and "That's heartbreaking." By morning, it had hundreds of reactions and shares. And that's when the messages started coming in. First from Amanda. "Amanda, seriously? You had to post that online? You're making us look awful." Me. "You didn't need my help for that." Then from Mom. "Mom, delete that right now. Family business should stay private." Me. "So should exclusion." But here we are. She called next, but I didn't answer. By noon, Brian came into the kitchen holding his phone. "You've got the whole family group chat on fire." He handed it to me. There were dozens of messages. Uncle Greg, "What's going on?" Cousin Melissa, "Wait, you told her not to bring her kids, but ours were fine?" Aunt Carol, "This is not a good look, Amanda." And then, Amanda again, trying to defend herself. "She's twisting things. It wasn't like that." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Instead, I took my twins out to the park. The sky was gray and the wind was cold, but the air felt lighter than it had in months. They ran, laughed, threw snowballs. I watched them and thought, this is Christmas. Not a dinner table full of fake smiles and whispered insults. When we got back home, Brian showed me something that almost made me laugh. Amanda had turned off her comments. 2 hours later, she called again. This time I answered. Her voice was brittle. "You've embarrassed the whole family. Do you know what people are saying?" "Yes," I said simply. "They're saying it's cruel to tell someone adults only when you just didn't want their kids there." She sighed sharply. "You're overreacting." It wasn't personal. I let out a quiet laugh. "Amanda, everything you do is personal. You just never expect consequences." There was silence on the other end. Then finally she said, "Mom's furious." "Good," I said. "Maybe she'll finally understand what it feels like to be left out." Amanda hung up. That night, I got a text from my cousin Melissa, one of the few relatives who always saw through Amanda's nonsense. "Melissa, for what it's worth, that post. You weren't wrong. She's been pulling that adults-only crap for years. I'm proud of you." I didn't realize how much I needed those words until I read them. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel small. I wasn't the one begging to belong. I was the one holding up the mirror and watching them finally look at themselves. The next few days were awkward. The family chat went silent. Amanda didn't post another thing. Mom pretended nothing had happened. But something had shifted. The control Amanda held, the quiet, unspoken authority she wielded over every gathering, cracked. And I wasn't done yet. Because while she was busy worrying about what people would think, I'd already started working on something else. Something that would make her regret trying to erase my family from hers. It started with a call to the local community center, the same one that used to host our neighborhood's Christmas Eve toy drive. The one Amanda used to volunteer for, back when she cared more about appearances than kindness. When the woman on the phone asked, "What name should we put down for the donation?" I smiled. Put it under the family that counts everyone. The following week rolled in quietly. Snow still clinging to the driveways, lights blinking faintly across porches like tired reminders that Christmas had come and gone. But something about this year felt different. Amanda hadn't spoken to me since the call. My mother, of course, tried her usual dance of keeping the peace, sending me passive-aggressive texts like, "Maybe next year will be less dramatic. You know how your sister is. Don't let it get to you." I didn't reply. Not because I was angry, but because I was done explaining myself to people who only listened when they felt guilty. Instead, I threw myself into something that did matter, the toy drive. When I called the community center, the coordinator, a warm woman named Denise, remembered our family name right away. "Oh yes, the Winters. Your sister Amanda used to help out years ago, always in heels and a photo crew." I smiled faintly. "Yeah, that sounds like her. I'd like to make a family donation this year, in honor of inclusion. No child should ever feel left out." Denise paused, then said softly, "That's beautiful. How would you like the banner to read?" "The family that counts everyone," I said. "All names welcome." Over the next few days, Brian helped me organize everything. The twins wrapped gifts, drew little cards with stick figure Santas, and added glitter to nearly every surface in the house. When we dropped the boxes off at the community center, a local volunteer took our photo. She posted it on the center's Facebook page with the caption, "This year's biggest donation came from the family that counts everyone." Over 50 gifts for kids in need, a reminder that every child deserves a place at the table. I didn't think much of it at first, until my phone started buzzing. Texts, screenshots, tags. The post had gone semi-viral in our town. People were sharing it with comments like, "Love this message," and "Whoever they are, I want to be part of that family." Even the local news reposted it with the headline, "Community Family Inspires Holiday Kindness." And right there in the picture, me, Brian, and our twins, smiling, covered in glitter, surrounded by toys. Not polished, not posed, just real. The fallout came quickly. Amanda called first. Of course she did. Her voice was clipped, brittle as glass. "So that's what this is now? Public charity stunts? You're seriously trying to make me look bad?" I didn't even look up from the dishes. "Amanda, you made yourself look bad. I'm just trying to make things right." "You don't understand," she snapped. Mom's embarrassed. "People are talking." I raised an eyebrow. "Talking about kindness? Sounds terrible." There was a long pause. Then, in that sharp, sugar-coated tone she used when she was losing control, she said, "You always wanted to be the victim, didn't you? Congratulations. Now everyone feels sorry for you." I let out a quiet laugh. "No one feels sorry for me, Amanda. They finally see you." She hung up without another word. By New Year's Eve, the family group chat had turned into a ghost town. No dinner plans. No Happy New Year. Messages, just silence. And honestly, it felt peaceful. Brian and I stayed home with the kids. We made pizza, played board games, watched fireworks from the window. At midnight, my phone buzzed again. A new message from someone I didn't expect. "Mom." I saw the news story. "You did something wonderful. Maybe I haven't been fair. I just didn't want to choose sides between you and Amanda." I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. "You don't have to choose sides, Mom. You just have to stop pretending nothing happened." She didn't answer, but I noticed she liked the message, something she'd never done before. The next morning, I got another call, this time from Denise, the community center coordinator. She was almost laughing when she spoke. "You won't believe this, but we've had 3 families call to make donations under the same name, the family that counts everyone. You started something." My heart actually skipped. "Are you serious?" "Oh yes," she said warmly. "People love the idea. They said it made them think about what family really means." I hung up, smiling. Not the bitter kind of smile I'd worn for years around Amanda, but a quiet, content one. Because this time, I hadn't fought her with anger. I'd fought her with example, and it worked. Later that week, I bumped into my cousin Melissa at the grocery store. She grinned the second she saw me. "So you're that family now, huh?" I laughed. "Apparently." She leaned in a little. "Amanda's losing it, by the way. She told everyone you're manipulating public sympathy. But the more she talks, the worse she looks." I shook my head. "Let her. I'm done trying to fix how she sees me." Melissa smiled softly. "You know, it's kind of poetic. She tried to erase your family and now you've built one everyone wants to join." That sentence stuck with me for days, because she was right. Amanda had spent years crafting a picture-perfect image. Curated dinners, flawless holiday posts, endless "look how blessed we are" captions. But beneath all that glitter was a rot she couldn't hide anymore. And me, I wasn't perfect. I wasn't polished, but I was real. And people can tell the difference. A week later, a new message appeared in the family group chat. "Mom, I think next Christmas should be at my place. Everyone's invited, everyone." I looked at Brian and smiled. "Do you think she means it?" he asked. "I think she's learning," I said quietly. He nodded, wrapping his arm around me. "You know, you never really wanted revenge, did you?" "No," I said, watching the twins draw on the floor beside us. "Just respect, and a seat at the table." Spring came quietly that year, the kind of gentle golden warmth that makes you forget how harsh the winter felt. But just when I thought peace had settled in for good, the universe decided to throw in one last twist: poetic justice, wrapped in irony. It started with a call from Mom. Her voice trembled the way it does when she's trying to sound casual but isn't. "Honey, I was wondering if you could help Amanda out. She's having some trouble." I paused mid-laundry fold. "Trouble?" "She and Dan are separating," Mom said softly. "It's been rough. She could use some family right now." For a second, I almost laughed. Not out of cruelty, just disbelief. The same woman who once told me my kids didn't fit the vibe was suddenly craving family. But I didn't gloat. I didn't smirk. I just said, "I'll think about it." And I did. 2 days later, Amanda texted me herself. "Amanda, can we talk?" "Just us." I stared at the message for a while before typing back. "Me. Sure. Coffee?" When I arrived, she was already there, sitting at a corner table, sunglasses on, the same oversized tote she always carried. But she wasn't the same. Her hair was unstyled, her voice quieter, her confidence, the kind that once filled a room, dimmed. She looked up and said, "Thanks for coming." I nodded. "You said you wanted to talk." She took a deep breath. "Look, I know I was awful to you at Christmas. To your kids. I thought if I controlled the guest list, I controlled the attention. I thought if I kept things perfect, people would love me more." There was no dramatic music, no audience, just truth. Bare and awkward, I waited before replying. "You hurt my kids, Amanda. You embarrassed me. You made my daughter feel invisible." Tears gathered in her eyes, but she didn't deny it. "I know. And seeing that post, your toy drive, the whole town celebrating you, it broke something in me. Because you did what I never could. You made people care without trying to impress them." I looked down at my coffee, then back at her. "You don't need people to think you're perfect. You just need to stop treating them like they're disposable." Amanda sniffled, her voice small. "Do you think they'll forgive me?" I sighed. "I think forgiveness is a lot like dinner invitations. You don't demand them, you earn them." She nodded, wiping her eyes. For once, she didn't argue. That summer, Mom hosted a barbecue, her attempt to bring the family back together. When we arrived, Amanda was already there, setting out plates, talking softly with Mom. No spotlight, no audience, no fancy decorations. Just a few folding chairs and laughter from the kids running around the yard. My daughter hesitated before walking up to Amanda. But Amanda bent down to her level and said, "Hi, sweetheart. I missed you." It wasn't perfect. My daughter didn't jump into her arms. But she smiled. And for now, that was enough. As the sun began to set, Mom stood up and said something I'll never forget. "You know, last year we forgot what this was all about. Family isn't who looks the best on camera. It's who shows up, with or without an invitation. Everyone went quiet, even Amanda. And then, from across the table, Amanda looked at me and said softly, "You were right, you know." "About what?" I asked. She smiled faintly. "We are family, just not the way I used to think." A few days later, I got an email from the community center. "We're naming next year's toy drive theme The Family That Counts Everyone. We'd love your family to help lead it again." I showed it to Brian, and he smiled. "Looks like it's official. You started a movement." I shrugged, but my heart swelled a little. I didn't do it for attention. I just didn't want my kids growing up thinking exclusion was normal. He kissed my forehead, and that's why it worked. Months passed, and things slowly healed. Amanda didn't turn into a saint overnight, but she changed. Small things. Remembering birthdays, sending real apologies, showing up without fanfare. And for the first time in a long while, our family gatherings felt like family. Messy, loud, imperfect, but real. One evening, as we cleaned up after dinner, my daughter tugged at my sleeve and whispered, "Mom, we're part of the family again, right?" I looked around, at Amanda laughing with Brian, at Mom handing out leftovers, at my son chasing the dog across the yard, and I said, "Yeah, sweetheart. We always were. They just forgot for a while." Later that night, after everyone left, I sat on the porch scrolling through old photos. There was one from that Christmas, the year we weren't invited. My daughter's confused face, the cold, empty driveway, the gifts still wrapped. And then I looked at the newest photo, the barbecue. Everyone smiling. No filters, no poses, just light. I uploaded it quietly, no caption this time, just one line in the description. The table's bigger now. Because family isn't about who lets you belong. It's about who refuses to let you feel alone. And as for Amanda, well, she still gets flustered when things aren't perfect. But every time she hosts something now, there's always one extra seat at the table, just in case.